All right, now, he said he's able to graft them in again. Verse 24, for if thou wert cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into the good olive tree, so you got the two olive trees, how much more shall these, which be natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? You see? That's what he's talking about. The two olive trees, right? Now, for I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, and blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles become in. So blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles become in. All right? Now, I said all that to set the foundation for the two olive trees, so we can understand these two olive trees, so we can understand that it's not just for Israel, but it's for Israel and those who will be joined to Israel. All right, now, all right, let's look at Isaiah chapter 56. Isaiah, Yeshaya chapter 56. Let's start at verse 1, because we're going to merge into the lesson of the olive tree, two olive trees, so we can see what the Most High is saying in the end time, right? Now, verse 1, he says what? Thus says Yahweh, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness is to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. We got people on the Shabbat is doing evil and call themselves doing the service of the Most High. What is evil? Okay. In Proverbs, keep your finger there. Let's go to Proverbs right quick. Proverbs chapter 6 says 6 things does Yah hate, right? 7 are an abomination. A proud look. So because you come to the knowledge of Israel, you're not supposed to have a proud look or be prideful or Israel. That's something to be sad about when we realize that we were a people that were on top of the world, and now we at the bottom. Ain't nothing to be proud about. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. If a Gentile embraces the covenant, then he is what? He is a covenant brother, or she is a covenant sister, regardless of what the color of their skin looks like, because why? They've embraced the covenant. And hands that shed innocent blood. Right? Now let me just say, I know there's some wicked Gentiles, just like there's some wicked Hebrews. They're going to be cut off and thrown into the fire. Okay? A lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that swift running to mischief, a false witness. See, people call themselves Torah only, are not only are they hating on Shaul, they hating on the Mashiach, saying he never existed. Were you there? Have you been to the places where he was born, where he walked? How are you going to teach he didn't exist? So he says, feet that are swift to running to mischief, false witness, that speak of lies, he that soweth discord among the brethren. So that's what it is, okay? That's the evilness that the Most High is talking about. Now, so he says, go back to Isaiah 56. Verse 3. Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to Yahweh. Huh? The sons of who? Sons of the stranger. Who have joined themselves to Yahweh, speak saying, Yahweh have utterly separated me from his people. Did you just hear what I just read? Let me read it again. For those of you, let me get close to the screen. For those of you who have embraced the covenant and you got this two-house thing and Israel is Britain and America, you are dangling over hellfire. He said, let the stranger that have joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh have utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say. So he said, neither let him that has separated him have utterly separated me into his people. Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh have utterly separated me from his people. So you can't say there's a church and there's Israel. Or you say, or you deny the natural biblical descendant so you can walk in his place. All right? You see how this works? So what is he saying? All right? He's saying, verse 4, for thus says Yahweh unto the eunuchs that keep my Shabbats and choose the things that please me, that take hold of my covenant. So he's saying you got people who are eunuchs in the last days who are going to keep the Shabbat. They're going to come into the knowledge of the covenant. They just happen to be eunuchs. And chosen the things that please me and take hold of my covenant. Hear the scriptures. You stiff-necked Hebrews that want to teach a lie. He said, even unto them will I give my house, and within my walls a place and a name better than the sons and of daughters will I give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. And the sons of the strangers that join themselves to Yahweh to serve him and to love the name. So you still call on the Lord God and Jesus and all of that. You don't love the name. You're not joined to him. Maybe you're ignorant to the name. So get a hold of it. Grab a hold of it. Go and walk with it. But those that take and love the name of Yahweh. Look what he says. He said, them that love the name of Yahweh to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Shabbat from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant. Watch what he says. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Does that exclude the Gentiles? He said, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. So you, Mr. Hebrew Israelite, you have responsibility to reach out to the other sons of Japheth, or the other sons of Adam, which includes Japheth. Right? Then he said, listen, he says, Yahweh Elohim, which gathered the outcasts of Israel, says, yet will I gather others to him besides those that are gathered unto him. So what? There are other people that he's going to gather with the remnant that's going to be joined with Israel, and they're going to be gathered unto him. Now, look what he says, verse 9. All the beasts of the field come to devour, yeah, all you beasts of the forest. His watchmen are blind, they are ignorant. They are all dumb dogs, they cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yeah, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough, and they are shepherds and cannot understand. That's why in the local church, you got these pastors, they don't understand this. They teach them money. Money cometh. And he says, and they all look to their own way, for everyone for his gain from his quarter. Come, ye, say they, I will fetch wine, and will fill ourselves with strong drink, and tomorrow shall be as the day, and much more abundant. So that's what the Most High is saying about the other nations. Now, let's go to Zechariah 4, and we're going to show you some things that the Most High said to the prophet Zechariah. All right, so let's go to Zechariah chapter 4. All right, Zechariah chapter 4. All right, Zechariah chapter 4, starting at verse 1. And the angel that talked with me again and waked me as a man that waked out of his sleep, and said unto me, what seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick, all of gold, with the bowl upon the top of it, and 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes, and 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof, and the 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. So we got 2 olive trees, right? Now remember, we just talked about how Shaul said that the Gentiles was a wild olive tree. And now he's talking about 2 olive trees here, which Shaul only understood the law, he understood the prophecy, he understood what the Most High said, right? Now, let me go somewhere right quick. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah chapter 31, all right? Keep your finger on Zechariah 4. We're going to come back. Jeremiah 31 verse 27 says, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. Now let me ask a dumb question. What happens, it sounds like to me, that today they do a thing what's called cloning, mixing the DNA. Okay? What's happened is here is saying that the Most High said that I'm going to plant the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah with the seed of men. I'm going to plant them both together. Okay? And with the beast. Okay? We understand that the beast is talking about is the powers, the world powers, the rulership, the world power. We have a lot of Gentiles now embracing the Father's name, His covenant, and the feast days and all of that, and the Mashiach, right? So he says, well, I'm going to sow them with the beast. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck them up, to break them down and throw them down, and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh. See that? And in those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten our sour grapes, and children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth the sour grape His teeth shall set on edge. So when is this going to happen? When he mixes the seed of Yehuda and Jerusalem or Israel with the seed of man and beast. Then he says, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, verse 31, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in that day, where I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, or Mizraim, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, said Yahweh. But this shall be a covenant, okay, that I will make with the house of Israel all the days, says Yahweh. I will put my law in their inward parts and write them in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. So, why did I share that with you? To help you to see that the Most High, we got the two candlesticks, we got the mixture now. He's mixing the children, the house of Israel and Yehuda, with the seed of men and of beasts. Now, let's go back to Zechariah, chapter 4. All right. So now we left off, but what verse was that? Verse 2, was it? Okay. And he said to me, what seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick, all of gold, with the bowl upon the top of it. So now, I want to just kind of do some explanation here. He says he saw a candlestick. So that's the word menorah, which is, it means, it says a chandelier, right? So the candlestick, which is the Hebrew word menorah, which comes from a plowing of, or a glisten, it says a lamp. So in the instruments of the tabernacle, the Most High instructed them to make a lamp, a candlestick made of beaten work, right? And it says the candlestick was all gold. Now we know that gold becomes in its purest form when gold goes through the fire, goes through the tribulation. Okay, now those that say we're not going to be here during tribulation, we're wrapped up in heaven, you don't understand the process. That's the purging process. Those who are really truly of Israel, of the seed of the covenant seed, are going to hold on to the end. What did Yahshua say? The race is not given to the swift, to the strong, but to him that endureth to the end. Isn't that what he said? So he says what? I behold a candlestick and all of gold with the bowl. A bowl, the bowl is significant of what? On the top of that is the bowl. This particular bowl here is the fountain or bowl. The globe is round, okay, at the top of the candlestick, which is what holds the candle. Now we have on the candlestick, we have during in the time of judgment, we have what's called the 7 bowls. Each time the shofar was blown, the bowls released a judgment. Okay, now, so you have the gold and then you have the bowl. And upon the top of it, 7 lamps were 7 pipes. Okay, or 7 pipes. It says poured out. Is what I was just saying. So the pipes were meant to pour out. To pour out what? The wrath of the Most High over the nations. That's what it's significant of. So that the menorah is, and we see it right here, menorah here on both sides, it's significant of the spirit, the 7 spirits of the Most High, final revelation, and also the 7 spirits of the age, and the 7 spirits of the Most High found in Isaiah chapter 11, which deals with the 7 judgments, the 7 trumpets and 7 bowls. Okay, now that's a little deep. I don't want to get off into that, but I just want to kind of throw that in there so you can see what it's talking about here. All right, so the pipes, which is the pouring out, and the 7 lamps, right? 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof. On the top of what? The candlestick. So, verse 4, I answered and spake to the angel and talked with me and saying, what are these, my master? And the angels that talked with me answered and said unto me, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my master. And then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this is the word of Elohim unto Zerubbabel. Now, we have this Zerubbabel. He said, the word unto Zerubbabel. Now, we find this Zerubbabel, which means a descendant of Babylon. So he said, thus, this is the word of Yahweh unto the descendant of Babylon, saying, not by power. That's interesting. He said, call him the descendant of Babylon. Not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, says Yah of hosts. What is he saying? You become that power, the force that the Most High uses, not by your own ability, not by your might, but by his Ruach, his spirit. That's why you can't do this in the flesh. So what, you a biblical Hebrew Israelite, but your spirit better be right. Your spirit better be circumcised. So he says what? But by my spirit, says Yah of hosts, or Yahweh Sabaoth. Okay? Now, that word is actually Sabah, which means a mass of persons. So he says, but by my spirit, which is the Ruach, says Yahweh, and he says Sabah, which means a mass of persons, an army, a campaign, a specifically hardship or worship. So these people that he's going to use are going to be what? The candlestick that's what? Been beaten and has been prepared for the battle. That's kind of heavy, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? Now, he says, verse 7, who art thou, O great mountain? So he calls Zerubbabel, the descendants of Babel, a great mountain. Who art thou, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? Thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone. Now who's the headstone? Yahshua is the headstone. What does Shaul say? Okay, keep your finger there. All right. All right. Shaul said, you are built up, Ephesians 2:20 says, you are built up the foundation of the apostles and the prophets of Yahshua the Messiah himself, being the chief cornerstone. Right? Shimon Kepha said, wherefore, verse Shimon Kepha, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 6, and wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, says, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. A chief cornerstone. Now, are you saying Shaul? Are you saying that Shimon Kepha never existed? All right. He says in the next verse, unto you therefore which believe, he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. See that? Now, let's go back to the text. So Zechariah 4 verse 7 says, and he shall bring forth the headstone, that's Yahshua, thereof with shoutings. See that? Shoutings. Now, it's kind of interesting. Where the scripture said that he shall descend from heaven with the voice and with the shout. Right? Remember that? Let's look at that right quick. I think that's 1 Thessalonians